Hi everyone, I'm Bethia. We're here today to talk about when tech scale-ups hit that next stage of business growth. More clients, more funding, more scrutiny, and how often security can turn up as a bottleneck. ISO 27001 becomes the framework that they turn to, but it's rarely a tick boxing exercise that they expect. I'm going to be having a chat today with Jansen, who's our information security analyst here at LeftBrain. And we're going to be talking about how fast-moving teams can implement ISO in a way that supports growth and doesn't block it. So firstly, Lucas, could you introduce yourself and who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name's Lucas Jansen. I'm the GRC lead here at LeftBrain. That stands for Governance, Risk, and Compliance. I oversee all of our internal ISO 27001 compliance. I'm working hands-on with our clients as well, going through their own ISO 27001 certifications. My focus right now is on scale-ups under pressure to move their security posture to a more comprehensive place.
Great. And do scale-ups kind of often come to us thinking that ISO is a checkbox exercise?
Definitely. A lot of the clients that we have are coming to us thinking that it's just this thing that can sort of be quite easily sorted and that it's just meant to, you know, yeah, like you said, be a tick box that they have to do in order to work with certain people. But ISO requires real business ownership. It actually affects how you operate as a business. It requires leadership buy-in and a lot of effort in some places. The main factors of what ISO is it's about risk to your business, who has access to things, how you store and handle data, and how you keep documentation of all of that stuff. Teams are surprised at first about the requirements of it, but they quickly see the value once they engage with it.
Great. And so what is it about ISO 27001 that's more of like a growth strategy as opposed to just compliance?
Yeah, ISO brings fast-paced growth because you all of a sudden have to do a lot of things that you didn't before. But it's meant to be scalable, it's meant to be achievable, and it's also more guardrails than it is sort of a checkbox. You get given certain requirements that you have to fulfill, but fulfilling those requirements is really up to your business on how you do it. So it really helps to define who has access to things, like I said, how data is handled and how systems are used. Once you do all of this, it does somewhat reduce the complexity and it removes a lot of the guesswork of knowing who has access, where data is, who's using what systems. It can speed up the onboarding process and allowing clients to have access to your resources. And it makes scaling more consistent and sustainable and allows you to evidence that to other people, not just ISO.
Cool. Um, are there any, can you think of an example where, a policy's had a real impact, real business impact?
Yeah. My favorite policy right now is like an access control policy. Essentially, it just lays out how employees are supposed to access your resources. It seems sort of trivial, but even just saying like you shouldn't go poking for things that you don't have access to is a really simple way to have employees realize like what their responsibilities are within the business. So it's not just who sees what, it's about risk ownership and review, right? Like a well-written policy like that helps teams also handle sensitive info properly. It tells them what they should do with certain, classifications of data. And it really just makes it clear what the business's stance is on how they should do their work in a secure and safe manner. It's a longer term safeguard as well. It's not just an audit requirement. Having a policy like this, we find, is more of an answer to risk than it is to ISO security risk, that is. So having a policy that covers this is sort of the first meaningful step. It's you as a business deciding on how you're going to handle a certain risk. First step is to get a policy, and then the next step is to look at what other controls you can put in place to enforce that policy.
And how does LeftBrain support our clients through ISO?
Yeah, my favorite thing to say is that LeftBrain, you're not just getting one sort of contact through the company. You might only speak to one person, but you're getting the entire team's experience. We all have different strengths and weaknesses within our team, and when an issue comes up or there's a challenge on how we should implement something for you or what kind of technical controls we should decide on, you get the entire team's expertise. You may only talk to one person, but that one person is organizing the rest of the team to make sure that you're getting like the best possible solution. So even though you're not necessarily having you would get more paying for LeftBrain service than you would get paying for a single employee full time because you're getting that, comprehensive experience. Um, Engineering support for identity access. That means our engineering team is the one who sets up all of the identity and access management systems. And then we have subject experts for certain types of risk. You don't need internal teams to figure it out from scratch. And you don't need to, like I said before, hire an external person to do it. Sorry, hire an internal person to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and it helps keep momentum without burning internal resources on ISO compliance.
Amazing. And what problems are solved by partnering with LeftBrain, would you say?
Time, expertise, familiarity, even just with how ISO works. Once you've completed ISO, it really enables you to be able to answer questions that you will get from prospective clients or investors or partners with confidence, because once we've sort of walked you through how ISO works, um, you have a lot of information that you're able to provide to those types of people that can give them trust in your business. It also removes a lot of like the scrambling and guessing, or dare I say lying, as a lot of people sometimes do. Um, it's when you have a questionnaire that comes in like that that says, how do you control access? And you say, we haven't thought about it yet, versus you say, we have an access control policy and we enforce it with these technical controls. Even just the time period in which you're able to supply that answer really gives a different amount of trust versus not trust. It also just provides peace of mind for you, right? These things are questions that you now also know the answers to, and you don't have to necessarily prove it to anybody once we've been through it.
Amazing. And before we wrap up, any final thoughts?
ISO is definitely worth doing for a growing business. It removes a lot of those questions of how we handle security, and it can make the growth of the business a lot easier when you know and you've decided on certain aspects about security ahead of time. But it only works if you treat it as a business foundation, as essential to the business, and not just a tick box. We found that anyone who does treat it as a tick box has a really hard time maintaining it and especially passing next year's audit. But with the right structure and support, it definitely helps you to grow with clarity and confidence.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights with us.
Thanks, Bethia.